Then the real peak, solo leveling.
Oh my god. That's all I've seen anyone talk about lately.
It is.
Yeah.
It is the only thing.
I've heard it on and off. So, like, can you give like the full context of it? Because I feel like I haven't like fully figured out what's happening here.
No, I don't know what's happening either. You have to explain it to me
Because the last I heard from solo leveling was that it was, and this is quite a while ago, but this like it was like, you know, I think it was episode 7.5 or whatever it was getting absolutely flamed.
Yeah.
And now it's like suddenly peak again. Or something. I don't know. I don't know the full context.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with solo leveling is that season 2 has fucking eclipsed season 1 in terms of like popularity and hype. It's pretty much all that anyone's talking about right now.
Yeah.
And it's doing pretty much the same thing as it was before, I will say.
Nothing has changed.
You tell me anything has changed with solo leveling? Nothing much, except Sung Jinwoo has gotten even more aura, even more OP.
Yep.
I will say that season 2 has been a lot more enjoyable than season 1 because we've gotten most of like the leveling in solo leveling out of the way, and now it's just pure fucking aura farming in season 2.
Hey, look, there's always a show that comes out that's pure like aura farming. Not
we need one.
Just a guy who's basically we called him Kirito back in the day.
Yeah. Because here's the thing: people think whenever I talk about solo leveling, it's almost like people think that I do not like solo leveling, and it's not that I don't like solo leveling. I enjoy solo leveling for what it is. It is pretty much very well animated junk food. You know, that is what it is.
It's dumb fun.
Yeah. It is dumb fun. It is turn your brain off. You watch it for one guy who has maximum fucking aura. Basically solos everyone. And that's it. You have a good time. When I start like punching down is when people are like, yo, this is peak, man. Peak anime can't get better than this. And I'm like, okay, wait, I was on your side. I made a video telling people to go read solo leveling. We were all on the same side here. And then you just overshot,
you
man.
guys need to relax.
we just overshot here, you know.
You can't say that when Orb is happening at the same time. You know?
I think there's a lot of teenagers online. I think a lot of young adults who I think they get super pumped about something because they want to, then they get excited about it because it's cool. Yeah. And they just want to share it with other people.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people get carried away.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I don't
blame them because like, you know, we saw the same phenomenon with Sword Art Online back in the day as well, right? Like, you know, a lot of people are like, yo, this is peak. Anime can't get better than this. And then, you know, it's like, all right, relax. You know? It's fine to like it. It's fine.
Yeah. That's good. Like you said, I junk food.
Yeah.
I think, like, enjoy it, man.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
totally.
Why not? I think it's sad when people are like, it's terrible. It's 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now you're just being a dick because you're mad that people are happy about something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's not going to be the best thing ever, but why does it bother you when someone says that?
Yeah.
Because if you've watched Orb, you know, like, you're happy.
Yeah. It's less cringe to say solo leveling is peak than to say that it's like just shit.
Yeah, why does somebody else loving this show too much? You know, why does that affect you so much? If you and vice versa, if you love solo leveling and someone's like, yeah, I just don't think it's that great. Well, no, don't get upset about it.
Yeah. Well,
get over it.
I get it because, like, you know, when I was younger, I had that mentality for sure. I'm not even going to hide that fact. You know,
me too.
Actually, when I was younger, I had better taste. You know, better taste.
Look, Joey, we had no enemies, right? This is what they got to learn. They need to learn. They have no enemies.
Exactly. Vinland, like, I used to think that way, where it's like there was like a really popular show that I didn't like, and then I was like, nah, this is ass. If you like it, you're ass. You're whack. And now, thanks to Vinland Saga, I was like, hang on, I have no enemies. It's fine. It's fine to like it. I don't like it. You like it. There you go. End of story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should save our hatred for what really matters. B-tier Marvel movies. That's what really we need to do.
Hey, I've been there since day one.
I'm kidding. But yeah, I was saying, it seems like everyone is talking about it. They had like, they also have on, like, I saw on Crunchyroll, they have the most liked episode of all time in anime and the most disliked episode of all time in anime.
Oh, which one? Solo Leveling?
7.5.
Yeah, 7.5 was the most disliked.
And the newest one, which is good for them.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm sure Crunchyroll's very happy. They get a lot of traffic.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to say a lot because Solo Leveling, I think, is the first super popular anime that's basically, maybe this needs to be fact checked, but off the top of my head, I can't think of another anime that is as successful as Solo Leveling that didn't come from a Japanese IP.
I don't think Solo Leveling is popular in Japan, is it? Anime.
I'm not too sure. I mean, I haven't seen it.
Because that's how I normally judge what animes are popular, based on what I see outside.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a single Solo Leveling thing.
Maybe seen like one thing of
I've
Solo
met a
Leveling.
taxi driver who watched Solo Leveling.
You did?
Yeah. Wait, haven't I told this story?
I don't think so.
Oh shit! No, I was in a random cab, and you know we just have a random conversation. He asked me what I do. I said I'm a YouTuber focusing on anime and manga, and he's like, "No way! What kind of anime are you watching? What's your favorite anime?" And I'm like, "Oh, right now I'm watching Orb. I recommend that." And I was like, "Oh, I like One Piece. You know, I like JoJo. You know, I say all of the things that, you know, are normally popular in Japan."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, I'm currently watching this show called..." No. I'm currently watching the show called I Parry Everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Bro's
What?
a DJ. He's a DJ.
What?
He's a DJ.
He's a secret Giga fan.
Which, if you don't know, I Parry Everything, it is basically what it sounds like. It's a
Isekai sloth.
It's a not isekai, but isekai, you know, in spirit.
Yeah.
Power fantasy where this guy literally can only parry and he gets really overpowered by parrying. And then he's like, "No, but for real, my newest obsession, have you heard of this? Solo Leveling." And I'm like, you are the first person in Japan that I've met that is watching Solo Leveling or is excited about Solo Leveling. And he's like, "Yeah, but the first season was so short." And this was back in winter. So I was like, actually, this is episode 1 of season 2 is next week. And he was like, "No fucking way. Next week? You for real?"
So let's go.
So aside
also,
from
the parry anime title is so AIDS.
Yeah.
It's so long.
Aside from that one taxi driver, I have not met another single Japanese person who is watching Solo Leveling.
Yeah, I think right now in Japan, it's still, you know, the, like, you know, Blue Lock is still, like, really far up there. You see that everywhere. Given, that's one that I see a lot of.
Given?
Yeah, you might have seen it around. It's like it's Fujoshi bait from how I'm seeing it, but like,
I mean, it's a really good show.
Yeah. This one is really popular in Japan right now.
But yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of pretty boys.
A lot of pretty boys doing music.
That's very highly rated. I doubt it's
it is a fucking fantastic music show.
Yeah.
When you mean Fujoshi bait, you mean just appealing to middle-aged women in Japan?
Yeah, just a lot of pretty boys.
Yeah,
you know?
okay.
Yeah. I've probably seen more pop-ups of this anime than anything this year.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like every mall you go to in Tokyo has a pop-up of this show.
Yeah, it's kind of I think people in Western spheres don't really understand sometimes how different the Japanese taste is.
Yeah.
And what is popular. Because Solo Leveling, I haven't seen anything.
No, I mean, Japan has always been in its own bubble in terms of like what's popular and what's not. And for the longest time, I just think that the international anime community didn't play such a big factor, and you know, Japanese anime creators only cared about catering towards Japanese audiences.
Yeah.
But I think Solo Leveling has just kind of like blown the lid off of everything with how popular it has gotten.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine we've had like webtoon adaptations before. We've had Tower of God.
Yep.
We've had
God of High School.
God of High School. I'm sure there's
gods.
Huh?
A lot of gods.
A lot of gods.
A lot of gods.
Yeah. But there's only one god for me. The god of Solo Leveling. The
Aura god.
The Aura god himself.
God.
And yeah, I mean, I can only imagine that after Solo Leveling, there's going to be an influx.
Is it going to be the new meta?
Well, you think like manhwa gonna get adapted like crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, already there's a lot of manhwa that have been announced for adaptation. There's Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint has been announced. The beginning after the end has been announced as well, and they are both very, very popular manhwa.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I think this is going to kind of like pave the way for not just like manhwa or like international adaptations,
Just non-Japanese IPs.
Non-Japanese IPs to really have a space to like fucking explode in popularity.
Just have a chance.
I
if more than anything,
I just really want more good stories to be adapted
And
and not the same.
I'll be honest,
type.
I'm not sure if I'm excited right now.
Why is that?
Okay, so I've done a video going through manhwa.
Yeah.
and there are some fucking fantastic manhwa.
Yep.
And manhwa as well from China. They are just not on the level of the Japanese manga and light novel industry.
Right.
If you think there is a lot of slop in manga and light novels with isekai,
Yeah.
you have not felt true brain rot till you go into like the manhwa world, man.
Right.
I mean, the Japanese manga industry's had so many decades of kind of, perfecting the system of how they're making it. So I feel like it's understandable that like your average manhwa might not be to the same standard as your average manga, right?
For sure.
And also like culturally speaking, becoming a manga is like really sought after. There's a lot of people trying to do it. And I think obviously that also plays a factor. It's the same reason with like voice acting as well.
Yeah.
I think the level of voice acting in Japan is generally quite high.
Yeah, I think it's like
There's just a lot of people who want to do it.
I remember I read like a thing from like Shonen Jump. Like this was like pre-pandemic, but I'm sure nothing has changed. But it's like out of like I think it was like 2,000 creators that write their own manga, only a handful of them actually make it.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that you actually read. So it's like, it just goes to show just how many people in Japan are wanting to release their own manga and just how little you actually see. Even though it might seem like Japan has a fuckload of manga, and they do. And that's not even scratching the surface of the amount of people who actually want to strive to be in this scene, right? So, we always say like, oh, there's so much slop in the manga world, but like there's so much more that doesn't even make it out there.
I'm not a fan of the trend of just adapting like manga that just got like popular like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we're going to do an adaptation for this thing that's got 8 chapters out. And it's like, why? Like there's so many classic manga that have never been adapted.
They haven't even given it enough time to like actually figure itself out.
Yeah. Like there's so many banger manga out there or stories or light novels that never been touched. Because they're not popular at the moment. I think there's a lot of worry from these studios, not studios, sorry, it's the committees. They're like too worried to touch something that isn't hot right now.
Exactly.
I'm like, come on, man.
Exactly.
Like, when we think about the peak of anime, it's like they weren't necessarily hot at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think right now there's, it's about the question of like, when does a manga get greenlit for an anime? What is like the right amount of chapters? Because when something like, let's say, Kagurabachi came out, pretty sure we all knew it was going to get an anime adaptation every now and again. It wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when. But then the question comes down to, shit, how long do we have to wait to like before there's enough content to adapt? And not just like for season 1, but like for like multiple seasons as well.
Right.
And I feel like in some ways it's getting like earlier and earlier in terms of like trying to find the next big thing.
Yeah, that is true. That is
sometimes.
true.
Because I think back in the day there were only like a handful of manga, and you have like the Naruto effect where instead of doing seasons, they would just do filler, And I'm so fucking glad that the whole filler era is over now.
Yeah. Because like even like back in the day, right? Even though the amount of anime that was coming out was way, way, way less than before, you still got a handful of shows that had a lot of expectations from its original adaptation or source material. But then because they didn't give it enough time to actually let it cook, the anime just ended up kind of fizzling out. And it's, becoming just thrown into the pile of meh, whatever type shows, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like now that anime has gotten even more popular than ever before, and there's just like fucking 50, 60 shows that are coming out per season now.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're just going to keep getting so many shows where it's like, oh, I just found out about this manga 2 weeks ago, and now there's an anime coming out next week for it. It's like, okay, like you haven't even given me the time to figure out what it even is, and we're already getting an adaptation of it. And you some studios are just like, yeah, we'll put all of our fucking budget into this thing that we've only seen 2 volumes of. Like, yeah, let's put our entire lifeline on this show.
Yeah, it does seem like quite frustrating, and I hope it changes.